Hey y'all, it's Megan. If you are returning to my channel, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome aboard. So today, please come join me on our big comfy cushion here. We are going to be doing another story time, but today's not a Disney story time. Today is another one of my story times from the time that I lived in Hawaii. So our first Hawaii story time we did was the 8-mile hike, as my family refers to it, the hike to Hanakapi'ai Falls in Kauai. So if you haven't seen that one, I will link it up there for you and down in the description. If you're interested in seeing that colossal mess of a trip, then you can go watch that video. But today I'm going to talk about one of the trips that I took to the Big Island. And, you know, so Kauai is up here at the top of the Hawaiian Islands. Big Island is down at the bottom. It is obviously the biggest, it's the newest, it's the one with the volcanoes. That's the whole point of the Big Island for most people. So, this trip was when I was in 6th grade. I think it was over Christmas. I was 12. 12-year-olds are a miserable group of human beings anyway, at least I was. So there's a lot of personality, we'll call it, that was happening within my being at that time. So we took a trip when I was a little younger. I think I was in 4th grade. And we went and we were seeing the lava flow into the ocean. And when it hits the ocean, there's just this massive cloud of sulfur gas that is up in the air, and you can smell it, you can taste it. It's been almost 20 years and I can still taste it. So I was like not into the whole lava thing after that point. I wasn't. So we take this other trip a couple of years later and I'm like, not into the lava thing, guys. They're like, we're gonna hike over the lava fields and go to where the lava is actually flowing, not just go to where it's flowing into the ocean. We're gonna like walk up to it. And we get all ready and we're hiking, and they told us that it was a few miles because you have to park back where the lava field has kind of like, the lava has flown over the road. And I'm sure you have to park even farther back now at this point because the lava has continued to flow for the past 20 years. So we parked the car, and at this point in my life, my biggest concern was like, how long is this hike? Because I'm gonna need to go to the bathroom. Like, I'm gonna need to pee at some point, and I'm not doing it out there in the middle of this moonscape. So how long is this gonna take? And my parents were like, it's a few miles, shouldn't take us more than a couple of hours, you'll be fine. The first mile or so was probably fine. At some point when you realize that you are the only human beings for like literal miles, you can just look and you can just see this field. I'm going to insert pictures where I can, so if pictures are just randomly popping up, that's me trying desperately to show you visually what I'm trying really poorly to explain here. It's just miles of lava flow, and it's just, it's insane. I remember we were walking and my parents were like, I understand now why we had that crazy aunt who like thought that the moon landing was fake, because you could believe it if you saw this. Like, you could very convincingly fake a moonscape at this point, because it was just nothingness. There were no people. It was just for miles and miles and miles, just black, dry lava. So we were walking and we were walking and we were walking. At some point, I determined that I was hungry. And I would like to say that this is not a trait that I currently still possess, but like when I get hungry, I get hungry. Like, I go from 0 to 80 real quick, need food right this moment. Do not stop, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I need food right now. So I'm like, guys, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Please, can we eat, can we eat? And they're like, we're almost there, just, you know, it's like another mile or whatever, like, let's get to the lava, and then, you know, we can, you know, once we're halfway, then we'll have some food and we'll come back. I was not having that. So I sat down in the middle. You remember I said this was miles of nothingness, and I just was like, I'm not going any farther until I get food. And I sat down like this. Why did my parents keep me? Ooh, I was a pain. Anyway, so I sit down and pitching my little fit, whatever. My parents are trying to call my bluff, take my sister, and they just keep walking. So they keep walking. I can see them just fine because I'm stationary and I'm, you know, watching them basically. And so I can see them. They kind of crest a little bit of a hill, not entirely too far away. Like, I can still tell, like, this is mom, this is dad, this is my sister. Like, they're not so far away that I can't tell who is who. But I see my mom turn around, and I guess we had just heard, is it a Seinfeld thing where he says AIS, you know, butt in seat? We started using it. We didn't curse in my family, but we started using the acronym AIS for get yourself on over here. And so, you know, my mom would say that, like, when we were like you know, in the commissary or whatever, she'd be like, Meaghan, AIS. And I would, you know, come back over. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching them. I see my mom realize that she can't find me in this just sea of nothingness. And I just hear AIS. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's the I mean business voice. That's the mama in church snapping under the pew voice. I don't know what happens when my mom gets to 3. You know, I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2. I don't know what happens when she gets to 3 because I never tested it. So I get up and I'm going and I'm going and I'm going. I catch up to them and they were like, you have got to stay with us. So at that point they did break down and let me have some trail mix, and I was very thankful. Ate my trail mix, and you know what? I was a delight after that point. I was just absolutely a treasure. And we just kept walking. We got to the lava. Lava was cool. Insert some pictures of me at the lava. Very soon after this, my dad was consumed with the power of the lava, and he's looking at it and he's like, wow, that is so cool. You know, we're standing like just a couple of feet from this stuff, and it is hot. I mean, you can feel how many thousands of degrees this lava is. My dad was overwhelmed with the need to burn something. He's like, I must have something to throw into this lava. I need to know what happens. So he took the only thing we had, which was my precious food. He took a whole little, you know, the mini boxes of raisins. Did y'all have those? Why did we take those in like our lunch boxes and stuff? They weren't even chocolate covered. Why did we want those? He takes a little mini box of raisins. And my mom's like, at least let me have the... She was going to take the raisins out and eat them. And before she even finishes the sentence, my dad just goes, throws it in, and it goes... instantaneously just disintegrates. Just up in a little puff of smoke in the lava, and he's like, wow. So that's what I learned on our trip to hike the lava, was that raisins burn real quick in lava. Like, that's how hot lava is. It will burn raisins. So we see everything, we turn around, we go home. I think it ended up being somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 miles total. Didn't take us nearly as long as the 8-mile hike, even though it was only a mile less. So that hike was significantly better than the 8-mile hike, but I learned a couple of very important things. I should not get left behind by my parents. I should always stay with them, especially when you're in the middle of the moon. And I should always carry my own snacks so that someone else isn't carrying them and I can just grab those whenever I want them. So if you're ever with me, there is a 90% chance that there's a snack in my purse, my backpack, in my pocket, or maybe all 3. So, you know, just know that snacks are plentiful when you're with me. So on our way home from our vacation, you don't think that the airport is going to really be a source for a story, but you didn't grow up with me. It's Cameron and I were talking about embarrassing things we did as kids, and I was like, you're not going to believe this. Like, I'm embarrassed to even reiterate this story, so naturally let me come onto the internet and tell all of y'all. But I have this residual cringe from how I acted as a kid. I did not dress for the airport. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna have to go put on as close an approximation to this outfit as I can get, because I need you to fully visually grasp just how stupid I was when I went to the airport. Just a second. So I'm back. I'm gonna back you up a little bit so that you can really absorb everything that's happening here. So this is what I went to the airport in 2004. When you had to take everything off to go through TSA. So let's start with what my dad lovingly referred to as my Mr. T starter kit. I wore bracelets halfway up my arm. I had huge wire hoops in both holes. That's the only difference here. I'm a little more subtle today. I don't actually have another pair of like big chunky hoops anymore. But I had huge hoops in both holes of my ear. I was wearing all of this. There was probably actually even more than that, but you know, you get the idea. I had that on. I was wearing, well, I'm wearing my Apple Watch. I was wearing, it was a Guess saddle watch that had little rhinestones and metal clasps all over it because I was a burgeoning emo child. So I had that going on that hand. And then down here, we're rocking, of course, an anklet, also from Claire's, which will set off the metal detector. What? Okay, so we were wearing a green tank top. It was one of my favorite tank tops. That was fine. And then I was wearing a pair of jean shorts. Also fine. But then we get to this. This is the actual belt that I was wearing, and this is the actual belt chain that I was wearing. So then we get down here to my feet, which these I've also been holding on to since the year 2004. The platform sandal. I mean, it's comfortable. I love them. I wish that we could bring this back because I love them. So, I mean, I guess that's, you know, in the grand scheme of things, this wasn't that bad, but I just needed to show you that I do still have these. I get to TSA, and all of this has to come off. So I'm down to the tank top and the shorts. I knew that this was how TSA worked. I've been on many airplanes at this point. This was not a surprise. And my parents tried. Like, I'm not saying that my parents were like, oh yeah, this is good, she looks great. No, my parents tried. They tried really hard to be like, Meaghan, are you sure? Are you sure that that's okay? And thank God my dad is one of the people that requires that we get to airports 2 hours early, because otherwise I'd still be at the Hilo airport. I was so embarrassed by it the other day. I hadn't thought about it in years, and I was like, why did I do this? So I just needed to share with y'all, see what you think. Did y'all do this too, like when you were young teenagers or, you know, kids experimenting with fashion? That's the kicker. I wanted to be a fashion designer. This was the time in my life where I thought one day people on the runway will be rocking all of this. So that is it for today. I just wanted to give y'all another little glimpse into my chaotic life and tell you another story from Hawaii that's probably not exactly what you were expecting when you saw that it was going to be a Hawaii story time, but here we are. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you are here for Disney content, I will have more Disney stuff coming up soon. But if you enjoyed my little ramblings, let me know if you are interested in hearing more of my random stories. That's it for today, guys. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all. I wore this to school. It's ridiculous.